So I'm extraordinarily excited to introduce, thank you. I'm extraordinarily introduced, and I'm going to let them introduce three luminaries in the luxury space. I've just met Susie, but I will tell you that Michelle and Brita are good friends. They're all clients of the Home Trust, so I appreciate that you're here. Susie, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Susie Portugal. I've been a designer all my life. As far as I can remember, I've had the vision and ability to make things beautiful. I was educated in environmental design, and my career has been mainly focused in the tile industry. This has allowed me access to materials, techniques, processes from factories and suppliers worldwide. I'm fortunate to be able to combine all of these to synthesize new and exciting products and techniques in an array of mediums for the US tile market. Basically, we are I work for a company called Mosaic Companies, and we own Walker Zanger, Anthology, Opus Stone, and we sell to a variety of distributors.
Susie, everything goes through Susie. She's the creative director, everything. She's the design expert in the category. So thank you for being here, Susie.
Thank you, Chris.
Michelle?
My name is Michelle Workman. I'm an interior designer. I've been an interior designer for over 20 years. I started my career in Los Angeles, California, and was very lucky early on, landed a few celebrity clients, and then that grew into a pretty extensive A-list clientele. And I love what I do. I'm often asked to talk on trends and luxury and design. That's it.
Michelle is a true celebrity interior designer. I met her in Chicago at another event 5-6 years ago, and she gave this amazing presentation. And I was finishing up the show, and she left early, so I'm still crestfallen by it. But we've become good friends. We did the luxury tour yesterday, and she is genuinely one of the finest people I know. So, Michelle, thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Brita?
Thank you. I'm the owner and VP of Sales of Paris Ceramics. Paris Ceramics is an elegant flooring company. We import limestone, marble, and finish and fabricate it here in the United States. I also happen to work as the sales manager in our Palm Beach, Florida showroom, of which is one of 6. But I've worked in 3 different industries in my career. I've been in the stone business about 11 years, but in all of the segments I've worked at, I happen to be in the luxury sector of it. Quite by happen chance to be in luxury, started in the hotel business, so it wasn't as I sought out to be in luxury, but just kind of ended up there and continue to be there. And I feel really lucky to be in a profession that I get to sell all day. I always said that sales isn't really work, it's kind of just talking it through and all of that. And thanks for inviting me to here today. I'm delighted to talk about this.
Brita and I met about a decade ago, coincidentally, at a Walker Zanger event in North Palm Beach. And
that's right. A long time.
Her hospitality background was so enchanting because she, the term that I like to use is, gets it. And one of the happiest days of my life was the day that I found out she and her husband had bought Paris Ceramics. So thank you for being here. She's been a friend for many years and just really understands the luxury space. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So we have some questions we're going to start. We'll start with marketing. Brita, how important is brand in luxury?
I think brand is important in everything because it is what defines what you are expecting to receive after you do the transaction. So I just think brand is important in luxury and mass market as well.
It revolves around your brand.
It really does. Yeah.
Michelle?
Same. I think brand is everything. I think it's across the boards. It's not just your logo or your showroom. It's the positioning that you take in all of those things in your graphic design and everything, in what you wear, how you present yourself to your clients or your customers. It's very important that if you are a luxury brand, everything says that.
Great point. Susie?
I agree 100%. I think that when you have a brand that's in the luxury space, it's really important that you upkeep that brand at all times, in quality, in design, and just in customer service, because I think all of those things are so important to the end user.
And that's really been your challenge, hasn't it, for the last couple of years, as you reinvent Walker Zanger and Opus Stone and the new anthology.
Correct.
Is that?
Correct. We're just all about working with the customers and letting everybody really decide for themselves that we are the premium brand.
And how are you doing that?
Basically, I think one of the things that we are doing this covering show, by opening up, companies are able to now buy our designs for their own exclusivity. I think that's really giving people an option that has never been offered before. So we're showing people great design, great customer service, and just trying to show that everybody can be in the luxury space.
If they do the other things we've talked about. Let me, Michelle and I did a luxury tour yesterday, and really, your products just shone.
Yeah.
It was just wow.
Thank you.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Michelle, you were going to say something.
Oh, I was going to agree with Rita.
I said, can they though? Can everybody be in the luxury space? Does everybody want to be in the luxury space?
That's a different question. Does everybody want to be? I think you can if you have the right design, if you know.
Have the product and tools.
Correct. I think you can be. I just think that you have to want to be there, and that has to be something that you achieve. I don't think that everybody can be there, but people can be there if they really want to make that their focus.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people want to be in the luxury space,
And don't necessarily know
Know
how
how.
to get there.
but they don't ever get there because it's so much more than just product. It's the culture.
Right.
It's understanding high net and ultra high net worth individuals.
Exactly.
And you do, all three of you do, and that's, and Paris Ceramics is visual, it's what you do. So it's, yeah, now, part of being in luxury is brand association, isn't it? Now,
Sure, positioning.
yeah, tell us about Paris Ceramics and brand association.
Well, you know, I find that luxury is really, you know, a triangle of satisfying people's needs. For example, is it, you know, service? Is it the experience? Is it the quality? Is it the expectation being met? Like, I want to know what I'm getting, and at the outcome of the service, transaction, installation, whatever that end line is, did I get exactly as I expected? So that's kind of where I feel Paris Ceramics is, that people have an expectation that if I go in and I'm buying, you know, this limestone or that pattern made out of marble, or I've defined what I want, that at the end, that's exactly what I get. So I do think that Paris Ceramics fits within that box. We really strive with an American factory to be able to achieve all of those, you know, expectations, really. And it starts with the experience. I find that luxury does start with an experience.
But you've studied each of the markets. So in Chicago, you're in the merchandise market because it's the best place to be. In Boston, the Boston Design Center wasn't. In fact, there's an article in Business of Home yesterday, perhaps you read it, about people leaving the Boston Design Center. In South Florida, you could be off the island, it'd be a lot less expensive.
Right.
But instead, you chose to be right on the main street, catty corner to the breakers, which is not a bad place to be. So, I mean, that's really important. You get it. It's just kind of.
Yeah, I think that it's, again, it starts with the experience. A lot of people come in there because A, it is convenient, and we can fulfill their need. We hear it all the time in all the markets. I'm not driving 20 minutes away, but that's where the luxury purchaser, the buyer in that sector, departs from somebody that needs less and is willing to give more of themselves, drive 20 minutes away, or, you know, buy it online, or whatever that definition is for them. You know, they're willing to take price, value, experience to what they can afford, and whatever that affordability is. Is it time? Is it money? It's a lot of different
Well, let's
things.
talk about brand association. Now, you're the home of the Palm Beach chapter of the Private Service Alliance.
Right.
So she's got estate managers going to her showroom every month, just for a party. How do you beat that, right? Michelle, how about you? Brand association.
I think for me, it has a lot to do with the celebrity clientele. That's sort of how I'm recognized, and then following that, you have to back it up with actual product, you know, or for me, that's interiors and the photography that shows that I am at that level. So it's the association, but you also have to actually deliver something of high artistic quality and value. And to Brida's point, I think for me, I manage those expectations. I find out what's expected, and then I try to knock it up a bit more so that there's oh my gosh, it's even better than I expected. I think that for me, in my business model, is very key. It also is fun. I like to give surprises and presents.
You know, Michelle has a brand new website. I hope all of you will visit it. It's michelleworkman.com. But one of the things she does is she does celebrity clients routinely. And you'll see her work is fabulous. But the names of the people are very discreet. So they've given permission to put them on the website, but it's not blaring. You never really yell in luxury, do you?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it's understated.
Very discreet.
Yes.
Susie, how about you, brand association?
To Brady's point, I think it's all about the experience. I think when someone walks into a Walker Zanger showroom, they're looking for a beautiful slab and whatever's going to complement it. And I think that all of the experience that goes along with choosing your finished products should be a great experience. I think it's key to giving that luxurious feeling when you're shopping in this beautiful location. And to that point, Walker Zanger is remodeling all their showrooms, trying to give that better experience. So that's what we're kind of doing this year. It's probably why they're not at the show. So
Experience isn't, or maybe it is, it's a requirement today. It's not an option. You either provided an incredible experience or they don't buy from you. Would you agree with that?
Agreed, absolutely.
Can you give any examples of that? You being on Palm Beach Island is an example, instead of across the road.
Right, right. I find that our sales are directly correlated to the consultative nature of what we sell. You know, people want to talk through the floors. They are making a big buying decision. They're never going to do that online unless it's just a very kind of, for lack of a better, exactly, an impersonal, you know, pedestrian brand, not even brand, but pedestrian product, if you will. But they want to come in, they want to talk it through, they want renderings, they want to really feel it before they make that decision. And that's highly consultative. It's like buying a wedding dress. It's like a one-off, and you want someone to help you through that process. And, you know, psychologically, you can do it by yourself, but you like the consultation.
Sure.
You know?
People have to like you.
They have to like you, hopefully.
Yeah. How does a designer create an experience?
For us, what we're trying to do is create a seamless experience. So when there are difficulties or problems on a job, we don't allow the client to ever catch wind of it. We want it to be a trouble-free experience for them. So if there is a problem, we'll deal with it directly with the contractor or, you know, whoever it is. Maybe it's a vendor or whatever the problem happens to be. And we'll never let on that there was anything that went wrong. And, you know, sometimes I have to eat a little profit in order to handle something and make sure that it doesn't affect the client. And I'm totally willing to do that because in the end, I make far more profits from delivering that seamless service. We also, over the years, have crafted sort of this beginning process, and I do extensive surveys with the client. I go into their current home, I look at their wardrobe, I look at their art collection, or if they don't have an art collection, I look at what they collect otherwise. And I really try to find out who they are. And I do that sort of innately, but the clients didn't know that I was doing that, so I've turned it into a very specific process so that they are part of that now, where they are like, oh, she's really consulting who I am. And that's been really successful, so that consultative idea is also what's been really more recently great for us, so that the client in that process becomes very confident that I know exactly what to do for them. And then when I show them the design, they're like, how did you figure us out, you know? And that's how.
That's great. I want to amplify something that Michelle said, and that is if she has a problem on the job, the customer doesn't hear about it. And so often, and I'm a former retailer, customers are the ones to tell me there's a problem with the job instead of being proactive and resolving it before there's an issue. My experience is consumers just amplify the issue. A term, a phrase that Michelle said yesterday, it's like Chicken Little, right? It wasn't so bad, I was taking care of it, and then the customer found out.
Right. The sky is falling. The sky is falling.
Right. That's when the issue starts.
Yes.
So, and you agree with that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Susie, how about brand association?
I think that the really key element here is that whether it's commercial or residential, you're creating their environment. And they're going to live in this space, whether it's a hospitality, a commercial space, or their personal home. And I think that that's, to Michelle's point, is you're creating their personal space. And that's why people are so passionate about it, and that's what you have to take into consideration in every bit of the design. So when I look at creating a collection for somebody, I look at what will appeal to the mass market, but what will appeal and almost evoke emotion in people that they'll want that product. So I think all of those things become your brand.
Very interesting. Do you start with the middle market and then go up? Or because you have volume to sell, right?
Yeah, we go all through the whole gambit. We do the lower end, we go all the way up to the top.
But each of your brands is specific,
Correct.
right, to that market?
Correct.
So tell us, is Opus Stone at the top and then Walker Zanger and then Anthology?
I think that Opus Stone and Walker Zanger are more equal. Opus Stone really focuses on slabs and that beautiful creation of stone. They're very, very, I think, high-end orientated, but they're getting now more into dealing with similar products to Walker Zanger. So I think they're pretty much at the same level.
Very interesting. And Opus Stone, by the way, is in South Florida, so it's a wealth market and it's a growth market, so it allows you to be more localized.
Correct.
Whereas Walker Zanger is for dealers and allows to bring beauty into other dealers. And you're, for the most part, the lead brand in a lot of your dealers?
Correct.
Yeah, I would have thought so. And to that point, they use Walker Zanger as brand association, defining themselves as a luxury brand.
Correct.
So I was recently in a former Walker Zanger store, and you know who I'm talking about, and you may too.
I do.
And the Walker Zanger brand wasn't there. And I said to the salesperson, it wasn't their primary store, it was a second store, and I said, "Where's Walker Zanger?" And she said, "Oh, they're closing the line completely." And I thought, that doesn't make sense. I got to call Noro. And of course, that was their defense mechanism. But they had a lower end brand. And they're going to try to make it Walker Zanger-esque. God bless them. I hope it works. But yeah, I mean, your brand is very important to those who have it.
Correct.
And
we want to uphold that, so if a showroom isn't the place where we want it placed, then we will move on to find that right place.
sure, there are standards
Yes.
that to have the Walker Zanger brand. There would be standards for Paris Ceramics. Standards, it may be their financial capacity, but they have to have the sophistication to hire you, right, Michelle?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and I run a company called the Home Trust International, and yeah, I mean, there are standards. If you don't meet those standards, I can't lower my standards, right? None of us can lower our standards. But to that point, the middle market. You suggested a middle market brand can be luxury, and I would argue they can use pillars of luxury. But do you know of anybody that's actually moved up market successfully?
I believe that Anthology is doing that, and I think that we have products that can go to the lower markets, but we also have products that can appeal to people in a luxury space. Again, I believe it's the person designing, the person selling it. You can take the brand off and still it could be a luxury item. You can put the brand on and it can be even more luxurious. So I think both work. I think you have to kind of speak to the person that you're designing for. I think that's really important. You know, a lot of people feel that the brand is the only thing, and I think that there's luxury other ways that can be perceived other than the brand.
Okay, okay. Now, I'm sorry, go ahead, Michelle.
To that point, I think, you know, when you have something that's handmade or very special and bespoke, maybe that brand, whatever it happens to be, is unknown. So you have some artisan who's sort of creating something in his shop that, you know, isn't across the nation or across the world understood what he's doing, but he's still a luxury brand, whether he realizes it or not. And I think that speaks to what you're saying, that if you put out a product of high quality, that is one of the pillars of luxury.
Agreed.
And you do, then if you want to go upmarket and become a luxury brand, you have to back it up with everything else that goes with it.
Am I wrong in suggesting that you take things that are artisans, which then are local, and you elevate it to luxury by virtue of who you sell it?
Exactly. We also
Absolutely.
manufacture, we have a ceramic manufacturer in Mexico. Walker Zanger owns that factory. And I've taken that to believe that these people are handcrafted artisans. And there's no name on it, but it's still a beautiful, luxurious item. So brand, yes, plays a very important role, but I also think that you can have luxury without the brand.
What would you do if you were tasked with taking a middle market stone tile distributor, retailer, yada, and make it luxury? Somebody says, we have this company, we want you to make it a luxury brand. Now, you were lucky because you already had Opus Stone as a luxury brand and a market leader in Walker Zanger. But if you had it over and they said there was this other brand, make it Opus Stone, what would you have done?
Well, I think, again, the experience when you're walking into the place, everything matters. There are companies out there that can make your showroom smell amazing. You have to have the entire experience walking in, and that's what we focus on. And I think that any showroom can become that by giving everybody the experience, and then the product, how you display it. You know, do you have vehicles that are there that just hold items, or do you have beautiful grouted displays? And you know, it all depends on how you show things. The experience is everything.
Super.
I agree with that.
Yes, for sure.
That first moment when you walk in,
Exactly.
that is what communicates
The
to
first
people.
impression.
Yes.
Just like life.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
I think, you know, for me, you said smell. For me, it's all visual. I walk in, if it looks dingy or dirty or unfinished, that's a huge pet peeve for me, is being unfinished, you know. I don't think of everything when I do a design. I don't think of all the different welts that I might use on the 50 different pillows that we're specifying. But when it comes time to put the order in for those pillows, I'm hours of like, oh, we're gonna use this fabric for that welt. Oh, we're gonna do a fringe on here. Oh, we're gonna do this. Oh, we're gonna, you know, and it's exhausting. But it is those moments, those little details that make the experience. I've had more clients exclaim over a welt than over practically an entire kitchen. So I exaggerate, of course, but you get the idea. And so if you walk into a showroom and it's not top-notch and detail-oriented in its display and the visual punch, then it's not luxury.
So you said a lot there.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, that's great. One, it's details,
Yes,
things other people don't bother with.
right.
Two, it's understanding the client so that what you do viscerally, they're amazed at.
Yes,
It's also being unique and different.
yes.
So if you do what everybody else
Artisanal.
does, they don't need you.
No, they can go online.
Right. Now, you don't show many products in your showroom.
No, relative to what we can do, we don't. But interesting enough, every single person that can walk in there can walk out with something for their floor that is not displayed in the 25 vignettes that we have in the store, because we walk up back to the sample room, and as you're saying, it's all about the feeling. You walk in, you're greeted warmly, the showroom is impeccable, you walk back, and then you can look at all the 4x4 samples, and you can kind of start dreaming, because we sell to the trade mostly anyway. And so it really opens up the world of creativity, because they know that, well, we've created all those 20 vignettes in the front, and now we just have small pictures back here, but we can view it more broadly. I wanted to go back to the question that you said before about the brand and what can elevate. When you already have the customer base, like I was thinking about this earlier, you know, J. Crew, for example, you know, you go in there and you buy your, you know, $39 t-shirt or whatever it was, and sweaters, and they always had nice, but the experience was always great, right? It was, you know, the color palette, the seasonality, they met all, you know, marks. And then, you know, under Jenna Lyons, they elevated and they started offering collections. So now you could now buy wedding dresses there, or you could buy, you know, a $400 evening gown, outfit. And I think that's like a great, as you're saying, you walk in and it's not about the price, it's definitely about the experience and the visuals. And then as you creep into it, you kind of end up where you want to be. It's exactly like that. We only show so much, but you can create it from what you see.
Yeah, two things. One is you help people dream.
Exactly.
Right? And that's what we do in luxury. It's not about selling, let's dream.
Yeah.
What can be. The second thing is J. Crew. There's a little secret in the luxury space, and that is Louis Vuitton literally shopped, personal shopper, private shopped, every store in the United States with the goal of employing individuals who were not acting as if they were entitled, and they did it because they wanted to be like J. Crew.
Really?
That was their standard. And a whole lot of people left. And this happened 5, 6, 7 years ago. But that's a true story. Nobody's entitled, even if you sell Louis Vuitton. Okay, next question. Is it ever prudent to go down market?
Well, I think there was and I think this was several years ago that it was at Nordstrom, I can't remember who it was Neiman Marcus brought in something with a Target kind of logo, and Target did the Neiman Marcus, and it works for Target to have Neiman Marcus, but it doesn't work the other way. So I think it's a difficult experience, I think.
Yeah, actually there was a story about this. This is one of the things Neiman Marcus did research of their In-Circle members and learned the #1 store for women who were part of In-Circle was Target. They didn't buy the same product, but they buy toothpaste too, right? And shopping at Target was easy for them.
Exactly.
So you get these strange
Crossovers.
collaborations that you wouldn't otherwise have. That was a perfect example. Michelle?
Well, I mean, we offer services to anyone who comes in and wants our services, whether it's just curtains or color consultation. Those are not high market value services. And we do that because you never know. You know, you can take a client who's just starting out in life and give them, you know, what their budget fits, but still give them the service and quality that you would give your higher end client. And you know, that person comes back to you when they get their promotion and they buy their second home or whatever, and you grow that client into the luxury client. But we don't turn anyone away, and if I'm too busy to go out and do a color consultation or something like that, then we have other designers who do that, you know, so we sort of do run the gamut, but everything we do is of a certain quality.
So it's a complete cradle to grave service.
Yes, absolutely.
No, you serve them, and that's really. Have any of you read the books about the Henrys? It's been written by Pam Danziger, who's a dear friend. That's the whole idea behind it. You're making $200,000 today, but you're on your way up. You'll be a millionaire in 5 years, and you can be a very, very good client. So start hitting them now. And because frequency is so important with marketing, it's never too early. Never too early to be famous in their minds. How do you merchandise your brand to ensure it's always perceived? Because, you know, in many cases, luxury brands are serving opening price points. How do you do that mean, luxury does it with perfume, right? They have opening price points. You don't have to spend a lot of money. How do you do it, though, in the stone and the design business to ensure you get those Henrys that Michelle just talked about? Susie?
I think, again, it's to Michelle's point. You want to be able to offer the person walking in doing a backsplash the same experience as the person walking in doing in 15 bathrooms. I mean, you just have to really show people what they're looking for and then elevate it. You have to evoke emotion in design. So that is the most important thing. Because when someone falls in love with something, even if it's the most expensive thing that you have, if you can just give them a little piece of it, you've still given them something that they love and that they're going to talk about and feel like they were treated amazing. So all of this contributes to starting at the bottom and then creating, all the way to the top.
It really works, doesn't it?
It does.
I showed a video last presentation about Payless Shoes, who put together a fake store called Paylessy. And people were paying 10 times what they would normally pay for the shoes, just because they perceived it as being more expensive, because it has a sexier name. You've seen the video?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have to watch that.
Pretty funny.
I have not seen it. I was going to say exactly that there's got to be kind of a range, an attainable range for a lot of people when they come in, and just give them the same experience. Everybody can walk through our door. We have a lot of what I call aspirational customers that they've seen us on HGTV because Nate Berkus is a big fan and he features a lot of our things. But not everyone is Nate Berkus and not everyone's living in their $17 million house in Palm Beach. But they want a beautiful foyer, and it is affordable because it's a small space, and they're going to start out right, and they're going to continue on with the rest of their house or not. And we sell materials that people are surprised at the price of $14, but you can buy items that are over $100 a square foot. And I just think, again, but that $12 is pure quality as well. Like, I'm not selling something lesser quality because it's a lesser price, but it just has less labor involved or whatever it is that makes it that price. A whole variety of reasons, obviously. And I think that's what it is. It goes back to the experience. It's like making people feel good about what they're buying, and at the end, they're going to be delighted with it, regardless of what the put out was financially.
Yeah. And that $70 million home has a outbuilding where the estate people live.
Absolutely.
And they don't, LVT is okay for them.
Or the kids' bathrooms. They say it all the time. Well, it's just the kids' bathrooms, and I want, tiles that are $10 a square foot, whatever.
How important is location? Now, you've chosen to be in very high cost locations. Mm-hmm. And you've done the numbers, no doubt, or Guy has, as to why you're spending X amount instead of being across the way. Is it that important?
Yes, I think location is key because if you're in the luxury sector, you need to be convenient because that is one of the variables that luxury seekers seek out, if for lack of a better vocabulary there.
They expect you to be there.
They expect you to be there.
And if you're not,
right.
You could be like somebody else.
And it's positioning, it's association.
Association.
They're assuming, since you're on that block, that you are a luxury brand.
Exactly.
Exactly. Agreed. That's why there are luxury malls. I live in New Jersey, and Short Hills Mall, you walk in, it's every brand is there, and it's a very luxurious mall to be in. And then you can go to a mall and you can go to Macy's. And so I think it's all about creating your brand and making sure that people know, what you do and how you do it. And I think the door being open to people at every level is also just as important, but where you position yourself, location is key.
And that's brand association too, isn't it?
Correct.
You're defined by your neighbors.
Right.
Is it fair to say that we're not a passion brand like other brands might be, but they define us then by location, by who you've done business with, where the products are imported by? That's all part of the mix, isn't it?
I agree with that to a degree. I think Paris Ceramics has a great reputation and they have beautiful, beautiful products. But there can be beautiful products that come from other countries that people look down upon and don't feel are the luxurious space. I think it's really, number one, about design and quality. Because if those two things are there, then does it really matter where it comes from? I think, you know, the quality has to be there, no matter where it comes from. So I think that's a key.
You know, in the car business, we all kind of made fun of cars from South Korea, branding Hyundai and Kia. And in the last year, they've become the most design-forward brand out there, car brand out there. I can assume it's helping them. Has it changed anybody's mind here that, okay, I don't mind driving a Kia and a Hyundai now, whereas a couple years you wouldn't?
I think it depends on every person.
Pardon?
I think it depends on every person. A Kia could have all the bells and whistles and technology that you're looking for, and that could make you happy, or the Mercedes emblem could make you happy. I think it depends on the person.
Right. Some people are attracted to that and some are not.
Mm-hmm.
How about status then? Does status matter?
Again, to the person.
Exactly.
To the person.
It's individual. Some people are obsessed with status, and some people don't care.
Would it be fair to say the wealthier someone is, the less they care because they have nothing to prove, but the aspirational customer cares more?
I don't know about that. I would say that it's equal, person to person. I've had very high-profile people who were very concerned about status, and I've had people who had no status that were not concerned about status and were frankly cooler people. You know, they were just passionate about the art of it and like the experience of it and creating a home that was amazing. Versus the other person, it was much more like, I gotta show everyone else who I am. Well, everybody already knows who you are. Let's show who you really are, you know.
Right.
Breed and I live 20 miles apart, and between us is an island known as Jupiter Island, and many of the wealthiest families in the country have had homes there for decades and decades and decades. Guess what the #1 car on Jupiter Island is?
A Kia.
No, no,
Subaru, no, I'm
no.
guessing.
It's Ford. Because they see the Fords at the club. So out of respect, they drive a Ford. And they don't have anything to prove. They live on Jupiter Island. So it's, you know, people do buy for personal reasons.
I think it's what you just said.
Pardon?
They don't have anything to prove. So
Right.
Yeah.
that's, you know, someone who has something to prove needs the status.
Right.
But it's entirely different than Palm Beach, entirely.
You live on Jupiter Island to be away from the hubbub of
Right.
Palm Beach.
Right.
So who lives on Palm Beach? I mean, on Jupiter Island? Tiger
We've got
Woods.
Tiger Woods. Greg Norman just left there. Burt's Bees founder Roxanne just left Palm Beach to move to Jupiter Island. She's, yeah, just lots and lots of household names there.
Yeah. Not everybody wants that.
No.
Let's talk about trends in stone, in tile, and in luxury. Rita, you want to go first?
Yeah, trend. I think that, you know, previous to this, it would have been like, oh, customization or getting, you know, something different than my neighbor or. But I think now, in most modern of times, is not being wasteful. It is reusing, repurposing, finding things that are handcrafted because somebody makes a living out of doing hand-painted tiles. We have a supplier manufacturer that it's 6th-generation family-owned business, and they have the clay in their yard. And you just think, my gosh, they're using their own resources, and they're employing their own family for 6 generations, and all the people in the town, and what have you. We reclaim, you know, antique stone. It's beautiful, of course, but it's also repurposed. Instead of going and using the energy of remining all the time, and bringing new out of the earth from trees to stone, reusing is so fantastically luxurious.
So you're saying something that's really interesting to me because 10 years ago, Paris Ceramics would not have talked about sustainability or reusing stones, and yet today that's an asset, a sales pitch.
I think you did 10 years ago also use, reuse
Yeah, they've been doing it for decades.
antique stone,
Yeah,
right?
that was the origin into the beginning of Paris Ceramics. But frankly, I find that a lot of our customers now, they are looking for reclaimed material, even though, you know, it's expensive because clearly antiques are expensive.
Right.
But that's what they want to show in their house. They don't want to show off, but they want to be respectful to our earth and say, you know what, I'm going to repurpose this.
It also
And if they
tells
can
a story.
afford it tells a story. It's the provenance, right? Exactly.
Yeah, it's very
exactly.
cool.
And it's gorgeous, and it's got a lot of other bells and whistles to it. But at the end of the day, and we were talking about this some time ago, that, you know, also in your marketing collateral, we, Paris Ceramics specifically, and lots of other brands, you don't want to be wasteful. When I get a catalog in my mailbox that is overtly consumptuous, is that even a word? You're like, I just don't feel good about that.
Right.
We've been asked many, many, many times from our salespeople to come up with a collateral piece that they can drop off when we go and do client visits, and maybe the clients are not there and they want to leave a drop, you know, leave by, like a line card. And we've been very thoughtful about what that is, because you don't want to keep reprinting it. And so we've come up with something that we feel is wise and not wasteful. That's the whole thing. I don't want it to be wasteful. That if I have to change something out, I don't have to get rid of the entire booklet. I can just pull out, we've done a series of postcards. So if that's no longer, then I put a new postcard. I don't have to keep reprinting that one. I'll reprint something new, but the folder's the same. So I think all of those things, sustainability, not being wasteful, being respectful of people that don't have, and I do have, I don't want to be so flashy about that. That's true. That's really, did I go off on a tangent? Am I in the wrong forum?
No, because it's important. Susie, now you just spent, we had a Zoom meeting a couple weeks ago, and Susie's stuck in China and couldn't participate. And it reminded us that it's different there.
Yeah, the connectivity was just not happening. I think I was actually in Vietnam when it happened, but I did a whole Asia trip. I think what you said was really important about telling the story. And I think that in design, we need to tell the story more. I don't want to have what Mrs. Jones has. I want to tell my own story. And I think that that's really important. So if you love red tile or you love green tile or whatever it is, that should be what you focus on, and you shouldn't worry so much. I mean, I know people are so focused on resale and what's going to sell, and you know, people are going to change it out anyway. So make it yours, and I think that's what's really important in design.
Well, and I also always encourage clients to do the hard surfaces now. Don't wait till you're ready to sell a home, because then, you know, you'll just enjoy it. Enjoy it. My goodness, you know, it's your home. You may be here for 10 years, you know, or longer. So make it your own. And I agree. If there's something that you are visceral about and you are passionate about, but you're afraid to show it, then you're headed down the wrong path. You're headed on a life path that is not going to satisfy you at all.
Now, one of the things we talk about is part of being a luxury brand is having your own unique DNA.
Absolutely.
And what message would you give to dealers and retailers about take that passion and make it their DNA and then promote that? Because I think that point is really, really good, because you want to look different.
Correct. You want to put your imprint or your stamp on everything. So if you love mid-century modern and you make a part of your world mid-century modern or whatever it is that you're passionate about, and then you can express that feeling and show people one section of what you like, but also open their eyes to other things. So I think it's appealing to everybody, but you still need to tell your own story.
Right. Make it create your story. Michelle, you do that with every design, don't you?
Yes, I do. Every design is different. I design around the client. I don't have a particular look that I do, and my inspiration is always the client. And so every design is violently different. You know, it could be incredibly colorful and pattern-filled, or charming and soft. It could be super modern and clean and colorless. I mean, it's about who they are, not about who I am. I leave my ego at the door.
But you bring a certain glamour to every design you do.
I mean, I try to get my clients to always incorporate vintage and antiques. And actually sell it a lot now by that it's, you know, we're helping the earth. Whereas 10 years ago, it was a different selling point. It was let's get investment quality. You know, I'm always trying to put some history into a home, whether it's their personal history or history through antiques. It's telling that story. But I think that, you know, you have to make it personal, or it's cookie cutter. That is the thing of luxury. It is personal, and it may be ostentatious, or it may be understated, but it's yours.
And you just said something, I've never looked at it in this perspective. Each of our businesses are a reflection of us. And if we don't communicate that, we have failed ourselves. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Overall design, showroom design, and how your products fit into it.
I think people try to be everything to everybody that walks in the door, and I think that the clutter confuses people.
Yes.
I think you need a clean environment. I think you need to focus on the products that you feel passionate about, like just like personal space, but you need to showcase that. Make the things that you love to sell important. You can have other things, like Britta said, that you put it in the back and you can bring those out, but a clean, beautiful space is what people are looking for to feel comfortable.
I couldn't agree more. I think Michelle said it earlier, and you do it better anyway. It's a clean, beautiful space. And what should be so simple seems to be so difficult.
It's hard. It's hard to curate it down.
Yes.
Because there's like so, and
Yeah.
everybody that walks in
So much to
has
see.
another idea to, do you have, can you
Right.
get,
Yeah.
We are all in the luxury space. Are there heightened responsibilities that come with luxury? Besides just being clean, and you talked about sustainability, what else is out there that we have to take
Service.
perhaps more seriously?
Service.
Absolutely.
Service, serving
Beginning-
clients.
Beginning and end, service.
Is it wrong to say we're servants?
No, I mean, in some fashion maybe, but no, I think we're meant to serve. I think that's also a good way to live your life. If you're always in service to others, and that doesn't mean to ignore your own self, but if you're always willing to give, I think that's a generous and wonderful way to live.
Yes, it is. What's most important when we teach our employees who represent our brand? What do you teach them? What do you want them to communicate? And is it ethereal? Is it, you've just gone through this with new employees.
Mm-hmm.
What's the overarching piece that you sell them? You tell them to communicate.
Well, in our case, manage expectations. It's most likely it's natural product, and we want them to, they come in with an idea, and we want the end to fulfill that idea. And it is up to us in the middle to manage it all along the way. Good, bad, or ugly. I mean, sometimes they want something that's just not feasible, and that's not us then. So, but a lot of times it is, because they came in for natural stone, and we assure you of certain things, and that's what we're going to deliver. And we tell them the steps that we go through. And so I just think, to go back to that overused word that I've said a dozen times, is consultative, to handhold throughout and be service-oriented, servants to them.
I'm hearing fulfill their dreams.
Fulfill their dreams.
Susie?
Again, the client that falls in love with stone may not be the client that can maintain stone. That's a really important factor when you have to give them what they really need, and someone may want something, but if you really don't want maintenance, then stone isn't for you. And there are other products that can take that place of that, and you won't have to do that maintenance. But so you have to kind of manage the expectations and really fulfill their dreams at the same time.
Well, education plays a part in that.
Totally.
And do you teach?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that's an integral part of your sale
Oh,
Absolutely.
after they've
That-
signed the contract.
That is, for me, the sales. I don't look at it as sales. I look at it as I'm educating that client as to why I chose that particular fabric, or, finish, or hard surface, or whatever it is. There's a reason why I did it. And that's actually been the hardest thing for me, is to figure out what my gut is telling me, and how to then say that to them when they question, because they always do. They always ask, well, why did you choose that? Oh, well, because you mentioned this thing about when you were a kid and you used to go climb the apple tree at your grandmother's house, and I just thought, wow, it's called apple tree. Whatever it is, but it is articulating and educating what those design choices are.
You bring up an interesting point, because thinking about luxury again, there are many who think luxury must have meaning to people. And by bringing meaning, you make it a luxury. It is just to have it at that point. Now, we only have a couple minutes left, so we'll have final closing statements. Do we have any questions anyone would like to ask? Any of our panelists? Yes, please.
I'd like to ask Susie what process they're going through in the new design of Explain to us what you do, how you achieve the new design.
So I think we're going for clean and really, again, beautiful spaces, being able to show product without clutter, being able to show products that coordinate with each other. So if a salesperson is busy, you can shop on your own. We have really kind of dialed in to get to the products that people really want to have. And so we're incorporating this. I think for the first 3 California locations are right now being redone, and you'll get to see that.
Do you use an interior designer?
We have an architect, but basically we try to just show our products in the way that the architect advises us.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? Okay, let me come back so everybody can hear it.
Thank you. Just a question for all 3. As you're all doing interior design work, and I'm assuming that you're not actually executing the work, that you're getting contractors or subcontractors, flooring, stone people, whatever. Are you selecting those folks? Are the clients selecting those folks? And how are you dealing with issues where if you're not selecting those folks, how they're impacting the influence of the client as they're getting into that space, because the client is seeing them more than they're seeing you during that time period, and how that affects, your brand.
I think I'll probably answer that one. Typically, if the client is bringing a contractor on board, which is the normal situation, it's very rare that I'm reaching out and bringing a contractor into a project. I sit down with a contractor at the beginning and I say, okay, so here's how I work. How do you work? What do you need from me? Can you give me deadlines on things that you need so that I'm always ahead of the game? You're never waiting for me, because I've certainly had where a contractor didn't tell me something was needing to be specified and then told the client, oh, well, we didn't get to that because we were waiting for the designer. I had no idea that they were waiting. So now we ask ahead of time, and we also really let the contractor know that if there's a problem, please come to us first. Do not go to the client. You're going to cause far more problems for yourself if you go to the client and ask them than if you just come to me. So that's what I do.
Brita, please.
Yeah, I offer service to the contractors that are involved. I'll say that I'll do CAD drawings for you. I'm available for any questions. Pick up the phone. I treat them just like I do a homeowner client that is spending the money to buy the products, because they too, contractors, installers, they have a handful of tasks to do in the whole project, and if I can do my part, that just alleviates from them.
And we only get involved with contractors just to, I guess.
Any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We don't get involved with contractors at all, except to except to coordinate. So we don't even touch that. Go ahead.
Chris, there was a young.
A question over on this side? Yes.
What your favorite questions to ask new clients are when figuring out what they're looking for in the design? Like, what do you like to ask your clients?
I usually start with, for me, how do you want to feel in your home? And, you know, some people want a sanctuary, some people want a place to entertain. You know, there's all different answers to that question. That's probably one of the first questions. I get into a whole lot more after that. I literally walk into their closet and start looking at their clothing and, you know, sort of like, what is their sense of style? And I do a lot of visual surveys, you know, and I like to hear about their childhood and their upbringing and all of that. It's fascinating to me, but it also makes it so that when I present a design, there are elements that sometimes they don't even realize are hearkening back to some childhood story that they told me, or something about their grandmother, or whatever it was that lit them up from inside as they told me the thing.
Thank you. Rita, you want to answer that question also?
Okay. Usually when they come into the showroom, you know, it's most generally the trade that we start either, you know, with the architect, sometimes the contractor, designer. Yes, exactly that. What are you thinking? I always give them an overview of what our product line is, and then if they have some thoughts, and they usually always have thoughts about a color, a color palette, and then we kind of start from there. It's a little bit more straightforward. We do have homeowners. We're on the street in Palm Beach. People come in, and it's all open-ended, and I kind of just give a general overview of what we have, and invariably they're attracted to a few things in the showroom right away, so it then becomes kind of easy. You walk down that garden path.
Thank you. Why don't we only have a minute or two left. Some closing statements. Susie, you want to go?
Sure. I think that in the tile and stone industry, I think that you really have to look at where the products come from in terms of design, quality, and all of those things, and put your own brand on it. I just really think that, you know, as Michelle has done, and she works for people that are famous or whatever, I think that your own brand is what people will take away from every situation. So quality, service, and design.
Thank you.
Yeah, what she said.
What she said.
Quality, service, and design.
Yeah.
Absolutely, the highest of all of those things that you can provide.
Rita, you want to finish with that?
Yeah, and I think luxury is, you know, we think of luxurious as being like a price point, and I don't think it's a price point. I think it's, what are you looking for? Is it service? Is it price? Is it quality? I mean, it should always, luxury is quality. It will say, no matter what the price is. It has to be pure quality. But what is it that that person is seeking out? And if you can fulfill that, that's luxurious to them. I mean, we said about Target and J. Crew and all those mass brands. If I feel good when I walk in there and that T-shirt's not going to get pilled in the washing machine, then that's luxury, you know. It's
right. We all define it differently, don't we?
Exactly.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, Thank you.
I think my panelists will be here for a few minutes if you'd like to ask any of them a question. And thank you, and enjoy coverings.